Why does a $1,200 credit card balance grow even when you stop spending? You stop spending. You even make payments. And somehow, the number still creeps up. The rule most people never see is simple. Once the grace period ends, your balance earns interest every single day. A credit card isn't a one-time loan. It's a reusable bucket. In the next few minutes, you'll see the timeline that controls interest, the daily interest formula, and one clean example that makes everything click. There's one small timing detail, your closing date versus your due date, that changes everything. So let's start with the bucket. Okay, so basically a credit card is a reusable bucket. Your credit limit is the size of that bucket. Every purchase pours water in. Every payment drains water out. You can reuse it forever. Your balance is the current water level. Your available credit is the empty space left. When the bucket stays too full, what lenders call high utilization, you look riskier. Risk shows up as higher borrowing costs later. Keeping space in the bucket helps your score and keeps your future rates lower. Now, here's where everything changes. The timeline. From day one of a cycle to the closing date, your purchases stack up into a statement balance. On the closing date, the statement locks. That number becomes the target. From that closing date to the due date, you've got a grace period. If you pay the full statement balance by the due date, interest is zero on those purchases. That's the rule that makes cards free to use if you clear them. Pause there. That's the whole game. But if you don't pay in full, interest starts accumulating daily. And here's the catch most people miss. Once you carry a balance, new purchases usually don't get a grace period. They start accruing interest right away. If you've ever wondered why your balance barely moves even though you're paying every month, this is why. You're fighting daily interest and often paying it on both old and new charges until you fully clear the debt and restore the grace period. Let's talk about the math the bank actually uses. You see APR on the disclosure, but the computer thinks in days. The formula is simple. Daily rate equals APR divided by 365. In plain English, every day your balance earns the bank a small slice. That daily interest gets added to your balance, and tomorrow's interest is calculated on the new total. That's compounding. It's subtle day to day, but it stacks. Let's make it concrete. Say APR is 25% and your balance is $1,200. The daily rate is 0.25 divided by 365, which is 0.0006849, about 0.06849% per day. Day 1 interest. $1,200 times 0.0006849 is roughly 82 cents. The new balance is about $1,200.82. The next day, the bank applies the daily rate to $1,200.82. So the interest is a hair larger. After 30 days with no payments and no new charges, you've added roughly $24 to $25. That's compounding at work. Each day's charge is a touch bigger because yesterday's interest became part of today's principal. Now, you control the cost with payment choices. Path 1, pay in full by the due date. Interest is zero. And your grace period is preserved next cycle. Path 2, make only the minimum. It's the smallest required amount, but it stretches the payoff and balloons total interest. Path 3, commit to a fixed higher payment, like $500 a month on that $1,200. You drain the bucket fast, slash interest, and as soon as the balance hits zero by a due date, your grace period returns. Here's what most people miss. Interest cost is mostly a function of timing and amount, not willpower. Pay earlier in the cycle and pay more than the minimum, and you cut the average daily balance that the formula multiplies. That's how you push down interest without changing the APR stamped on the card. Quick score logic while we're here. Utilization equals balance divided by credit limit. Lower is better for future borrowing costs. Many issuers report your balance when the statement closes. Aim to stay under about 30% during the month, not just on the statement date. Mid-cycle payments can drop utilization before your issuer reports. Asking for a higher limit can reduce the ratio, but don't use that as a reason to spend more. Here's a short playbook to make it stick. First, know your statement closing date. Second, set autopay for the full statement balance. Third, if you're carrying a balance, pay as much as possible early. Don't wait for the due date. Fourth, pause new spending until you restore the grace period. Fifth, set alerts when you hit 30% of your limit. Sixth, Know how your card calculates interest, APR, minimum payment rules, and the interest calculation method. A few wait what clarifiers. Cash advances usually have no grace period, a higher APR, and extra fees. Balance transfers at 0% can help, but transfer fees and promo deadlines matter. New purchases while you carry a balance usually start accruing interest right away. At the end of the day, the bucket, the timeline, and one simple formula drive everything. The key takeaway: pay the statement balance by the due date and interest stays at zero. Miss it and daily compounding works for the bank instead of you. If you found this useful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more simple explanations.